After almost 30 years, the human meet his alien sister, who turned out to be a beautiful alien girl, the neonlit streets of New Solaris cast a kaleidoscope of colors through Lex Freeman's apartment windows, living on the 157th floor of the Celestial Heights complex, had its perks, the view being one of them. The worn metal walls and scuffed doors of his living space told stories of a life lived rough and fast, but tonight was supposed to be different. Tonight was meant for relaxation. Lex stood before his bathroom mirror, running a hand through his dark wavy hair. His thick beard needed a trim, but the rugged look suited him. The gray stealth suit he wore, complete with its subtle armor plating, had become like a second skin. After years in private security at 45, he still cut an impressive figure, tall, broad shouldered, with eyes that had seen too much, but hadn't lost their spark. The knock at his door came just as he was pouring himself a glass of genuine earth whiskey, a luxury in these parts. He wasn't expecting company, and in his line of work, unexpected visitors usually meant trouble. Security scan, he commanded, and a holographic display materialized, showing a female figure on the other side of his door. What caught his attention wasn't just that she was clearly alien. Her smooth green skin made that obvious, but the way she carried herself. There was something familiar in her stance, in the determined set of her shoulders. Lex opened the door, his hand instinctively resting near the concealed blaster on his hip. The woman before him was striking, tall and graceful, with flowing chestnut hair that contrasted beautifully with her emerald skin. Her brown eyes met his with an intensity that made him pause. She wore a simple white blouse and fitted gray pants, a metallic belt accentuating her slender waist. 2 heavy bags hung from her hands. Lex Freeman, her voice was melodious with an accent he couldn't quite place. Depends who's asking. She took a deep breath. My name is Jayat Lin. I'm your sister. Lex felt like he'd been punched in the gut. That's impossible. I don't have a half-sister, she corrected. On our mother's side. May I come in? These bags are quite heavy, and this isn't a conversation for hallways. Something in her eyes, their shape, their determination, reminded him of his mother's old hall photos. Against his better judgment, he stepped aside. Jiva placed her bags down carefully and turned to face him. Our mother, Sarah Freeman, had 2 relationships, first with your father, then with mine, a Verdun diplomat named Kale Teen. She died before either of us could really know her. Lex leaned against his kitchen counter, studying. Her mom died in a shuttle accident when I was 15. Are you telling me she had another kid? Yes, I was born just before. GAA hesitated. Just before the accident. I've spent years tracking you down through old records and DNA registries. I needed to find you because I don't think her death was an accident at all. The whiskey glass in Lex's hand froze halfway to his lips. What I found something in my father's old files. Documents that suggest Mom was investigating something dangerous, something that got her killed. Gua reached into one of her bags and pulled out a data crystal. This contains everything I've discovered so far. Lex sat down his glass and took the crystal, turning it over in his hands. Why now? Why? After all these years, because someone's trying to kill me too. Ga's voice was steady, but her hands trembled slightly. And I think it's the same people who killed our mother. The silence that followed was heavy with unspoken questions. Lex had spent decades building walls around the pain of his mother's loss, and now this stranger, this alleged sister, was threatening to tear them all down. I have a friend, G. She's been helping me investigate. Well, she's quite good at what she does. I was hoping you might meet with her. We could use someone with your expertise. Lex raised an eyebrow. My expertise, please. I wouldn't have come if I wasn't desperate. And she smiled slightly. I've always wanted to know my brother. Before Lex could respond, his security system chimed. The holographic display showed 3 armed figures moving swiftly down the hallway toward his apartment. Expecting more family, he asked dryly. Ga's face paled. They found me. Lex was already moving, grabbing his emergency pack and weapon. There's a maintenance shaft behind the kitchen panel. We need to move now. As he helped GAA gather her bags, he couldn't help but think that his quiet evening had just become significantly more complicated. The maintenance shaft proved to be a tight fit, especially for Lex's broad frame. The metal walls hummed with the building's power conduits as they descended through the Mazak network of service tunnels. GAA moved with surprising agility her green skin. Almost luminescent in the dim emergency, lighting your friend, Lex whispered, as they paused at an intersection where. Exactly are we meeting her, the lower garden's Jeeber replied, checking a holographic map projected from her wrist device. It's an old hydroponics facility. Converted into a private sanctuary, Maya maintains it as a safe house. Maya. The name sparked Lex's curiosity, but he pushed it aside, focusing on their immediate survival. The sound of boots on metal above them confirmed their pursuers hadn't given up. They emerged from the maintenance system into the sprawling underbelly of New Solaris. The lower gardens lived up to their name, a vast cathedral-like space filled with towering vertical farms and flowing water features. Bioluminescent plants cast everything in a soft, ethereal glow. A figure emerged from behind a cascading wall of silverleaf vines. Lex's breath caught in his throat. She moved like liquid grace, her pale blue skin adorned with intricate patterns that seemed to shift in the ambient light. Her eyes were the color of distant nebula, and her silver hair was styled in an elaborate braid that reached her lower back. Maya, GBA said with evident relief. We made it. Maya's gaze locked with Lex's, and he felt something electric pass between them. So this is your brother, her voice carried a musical quality that made his skin tingle. I can see the family resemblance in your determination. Funny, Lex managed, trying to maintain his professional composure, despite his immediate attraction. I was just thinking how little I resemble a green-skinned alien. Maya's laugh was like wind chimes in a summer breeze. Perhaps the resemblance lies deeper than skin. She gestured toward a concealed door. Come, we have much to discuss, and your pursuers still searching. The safe house was a marvel of hidden engineering, a spacious apartment seamlessly integrated into the hydroponics facility. Living plants form parts of the walls and ceiling, creating natural air filtration and camouflage. I've been helping GAA piece together your mother's last dose, Maya explained as she activated a holographic display. Sarah Freeman was investigating corruption within the Interstellar Commerce Guild. She uncovered evidence of illegal genetic experimentation, attempts to create human Ali-ion hybrids without proper protocols or consent. Lex glanced at GAA, who shifted uncomfortably. You're not no, GAA assured him. I was conceived naturally. The verdant and humans are genetically compatible, though such pairings are rare. What Mother discovered was far more sinister. Maya moved closer to Lex, ostensibly to adjust the holographic display. Her proximity sent his pulse racing. The guild was trying to create the perfect workforce, beings with human adaptability and alien specialized traits. Your mother found proof of failed experiments, of lives destroyed in the process, and they killed her for it. Lex concluded, his voice tight with anger. The evidence was scattered, hidden in various data caches across the sector. Maya continued. She placed a hand on Lex's arm, and he felt warmth spread from the point of contact. GAA, and I have been collecting pieces, but we need your help to access them. More secure locations. My security clearance. Lex nodded, understanding dawning. But why wait so long to come forward? GAA settled onto a curved sofa formed from living plants. I was raised in protective custody on Verdant Prime. My father kept the truth from me until his death last year. That's when I found his personal logs and learned about Mother on you. Maya hadn't moved away from Lex, and he found himself increasingly aware of her presence. Her scent reminded him of rare flowers and distant stars. Your skills could keep us all alive long enough to expose the truth, she said softly. The next few hours were spent reviewing data and forming plans, but Lex found his attention constantly drawn to Maya. She moved with a fluid grace that mesmerized him, and her intelligence and wit matched her physical beauty. Their eyes met frequently across the room, each glance charged with unspoken attraction. As night fell in the artificial environment of New Solaris, GAA retired to one of the safe house's sleeping chambers, leaving Lex and Maya alone with the humming holographic displays. Your sister speaks highly of you, Maya said, pouring 2 glasses of iridescent liquid. She spent years building an image of her brother from fragments of information, and am I living up to this image? Lex accepted the glass, their fingers brushing. Maya's smile was mysterious and alluring. You're exceeding it in ways she hadn't Anticipated, she settled beside him close enough that he could feel the subtle heat radiating from her skin. Though I find myself curious about aspects of you that weren't in any database, such as whether all humans possess your intensity, your focus. Her eyes met his, filled with starlight. And promise whether they all make others feel so aware of their presence, Lex felt. His pulse quickened. Maybe you should conduct your own investigation. Her laugh was soft and intimate. Perhaps I should. The morning cycle in the lower gardens brought with it an unexpected message. Dr. Thea, NEX, a former guild scientist, had reached out through encrypted channels. Her message was brief, but compelling. She had worked with Sarah Freeman in the weeks before her death. Lex found Maya in the hydroponics lab, her silver hair catching the artificial sunlight as she tended to luminescent flowers. The sight of her made his heart race, just as it had since their first meeting 2 days ago. You're starring, she said, without turning around, a smile in her voice. Can you blame me? He moved closer, inhaling the intoxicating scent that seemed to follow her everywhere. We have a lead doctor. Next wants to meet Maya's hand stilled on the flowers. Thea, NEX, that complicated. You know her. We have history. Maya turned to face him, her nebula eyes troubled. Before I met GAA, I worked in guild research. Thea was my mentor. Lex raised an eyebrow. You never mentioned working for the guild. There are many things I haven't mentioned. She stepped closer, her presence making his skin tingle. Some secrets protect more than just ourselves. I'm good with secrets, Lex said softly, reaching out to brush a strand of silver hair from her face. The contact sent electricity through his fingers. Maya leaned into his touch. Humans are fascinating creatures. You face the unknown with such courage, such passion. Is that what I am to you, a fascinating creature? Her laugh was low and sensual. You are many things to me, Lex Freeman. None of them so simple. The moment was interrupted by Iva's arrival. If you two are done with whatever this is, she said, with a knowing smile, we should discuss Dr. Nex's offer. The meeting was arranged in an abandoned research facility on New Solis' lower levels. As they prepared, Lex couldn't help but notice how Maya's movements seemed more precise, more controlled than usual. She was nervous, though she hid it well. The facility has been dark for years, Ma explained as they geared up, but its security systems are still active. We'll need to bypass them. Leave that to me, Lex said, checking his equipment. I've got a few tricks that even guild tech can't handle. The journey through the lower levels was tense. Lex led the way with Maya close behind, and GAA watching their backs. The abandoned corridors echoed with the ghost of past experiments. They found Dr. Next in what had once been a primary research lab. She was a striking figure, and tall and elegant, with crystalline skin that refracted light in mesmerizing patterns. Her eyes widened when she saw Maya. My brilliant student, she said softly. I wondered if you'd come. I'm not your student anymore, Thea. Maya's voice was carefully neutral. No, you're something far more interesting now. Dr. NEX turned to Lex. And you must be Sarah's son. You have her determination in your eyes. You knew our mother. Gua stepped forward. I helped her document the guild's experiments. She was extraordinary, a human who saw beyond species, beyond prejudice. Dr. NEX activated a holographic display. What she discovered was worse than illegal hybridization. The guild was trying to create a new species entirely, one that would combine the best traits of all sapient races, playing gods. Lex growled, more like demons. Dr. Nex corrected the process was fatal to most subjects, but there were successes, rare though they were. She looked meaningfully at Maya. Lex felt his world shift. He turned to Maya, who wouldn't meet his eyes. You're one of them, the only one who survived to adulthood. Dr. NEX confirmed a perfect fusion of multiple species, including human. Sarah Freeman helped me hide her when the guild ordered all subjects terminated. Maya's voice was barely a whisper. I wanted to tell you, the revelation should have changed things, should have made Lex see her differently. Instead, he found himself moving closer to her, drawn by an understanding of why she affected him so powerfully. Your mother died protecting more than just evidence, Dr. NEX continued. She died protecting the future she believed in, one where all species could truly unite. The weight of this truth settled over them. Ma's hand found Lex's, their fingers intertwining. The contact felt right, felt natural, despite everything they just learned. The guild is still pursuing the research, Dr. Next warned, they've never stopped looking for Maya, your mother's evidence. Could expose everything, but it could also put Maya in terrible danger. Then we protect her, Lex said, firmly squeezing Maya's hand, and we finish what our mother started later in the safety of their hideout. Maya found Lex alone. The tension between them had grown electric charged, with new understanding and unspoken desires does. It changed things, she asked, her voice vulnerable, knowing what I am. Lex pulled her close, his heart pounding. It explains things, why I felt drawn to you from the moment we met, why everything about you calls us, something deep inside me there. First kiss was like a supernova, explosive, transformative, inevitable. Maya's skin glowed with inner light, her natural bioluminescence responding to her emotions. Humans truly are remarkable. She breathed against his lips. You face the impossible and embrace it, the guild. Central Archive on New Solaris rose like a twisted spire of black glass and chrome against the artificial sky. Lex studied the building's schematics in the pre-dawn hours, his mind racing with possibilities. Maya's presence beside him was both comforting and distracting. Her natural bioluminescence dimmed to a subtle glow that highlighted the elegant curves of her face. Mother's final data cache is in there somewhere, Gua said. Examining the holographic display, Dr. Nex's access codes should get us through the first few layers of security. The hard part comes after. Maya added, her shoulder brushing against Lex's. The contact sent familiar sparks through his body. The evidence will be in the restricted archives, a level 85, Lex, the expression making his beard-framed face even more ruggedly handsome. Good thing you've got a security expert who specializes in impossible break-ins. Is that what you call yourself? Maya's voice carried a teasing lilt that made his pulse quicken. I thought you were just a handsome man with convenient skills. If you two are finished flirting, Jiva interrupted, though her brown eyes sparkled with amusement. We should review the plan. The infiltration would take place during the fact night cycle, when skeleton crews manned the security stations. Lex would lead, using his expertise to bypass the primary systems. Maya's unique biological signature, a gift of her hybrid nature, would help fool the biometric scanners. Goa would coordinate from their mobile command center, monitoring security patterns as they prepared their equipment. Maya pulled Lex aside into a quiet corner of their hideout. The bioluminescent plans cast intimate shadows across their faces. Before we do this, she said softly, her nebula eyes intense, there's something you should know, something about how hybrid biology works. Lex raised an eyebrow. I'm listening. When we connect with someone, it's more than physical. There's a biochemical resonance. Her fingers traced patterns on his chest that left trails of tingling warmth. Especially with humans, your species has an extraordinary capacity for bonding. Is
that why every touch feels like electricity? His voice had grown husky. Yes, she moved closer, her scent intoxicating, and it only gets stronger, more intense, more. Their lips met in a kiss that sent waves of pleasure cascading through both their bodies. Maya's skin illuminated with patterns of light that seemed to reach out toward Lex, while his entire being hummed with an energy he'd never experienced before. When they finally parted, both breathing heavily, Maya's eyes were glowing like distant stars. That's just the beginning, she whispered. The next few hours were a blur of preparation and stolen moments. Every touch, every glance between them carried the weight of unspoken promises. Even Gua noticed the change in their dynamic, though she focused on the mission ahead. As night fell over New Solaris, they put their plan into action. The initial infiltration went smoothly. Dr. Nex's codes worked perfectly. Lex led them through service corridors and maintenance shafts. His movements sure and confident. Maya stayed close, her presence both reassuring and thrillingly distracting. They reached level 85 without incident, but the restricted archive security was unlike anything Lex had seen before. This could take a while, he muttered, studying the complex locking mechanism. We have company. Guba's voice crackled through their comms. Security patrol, 2 minutes out. Maa pressed against Lex's back, her hand sliding over his shoulders. Let me help, she whispered. Her bioluminescence pulsed in sync with the security systems, patterns creating an interference field that made the locks more susceptible to Lex's hacking tools. Working together, they breached the archive just as the patrol rounded the far corner, inside rows of data crystals. Stretched into the darkness, Maya's glow provided just enough light to navigate by there. She pointed to a section marked with an old classification code. That's where they keep evidence from that period. Lex began searching while Maya kept watch. The tension between them had grown almost unbearable each brief touch. Each shared glance charged with promise and desire. They found Sarah Freeman's final report hidden behind a false panel. The data crystal contained everything: proof of the illegal experiments, lists of victims, and evidence of the guilds. Continued research. Mom knew, Lex said softly, holding the crystal. She knew about you, about everything they were doing. She tried to save us all, Maya replied, her hand finding his, and now we can finish what she started. Their escape was tenser than their entry. Security had been alerted to unusual energy signatures in the restricted section. They made it out through an emergency shaft, hearts pounding from more than just the chase. Back in the safety of their hideout, with Gua busy analyzing the data, Lex and Maya finally found themselves alone. The energy between them had reached a fever pitch. I've never felt anything like this, Lex admitted, pulling her close. It's like every cell in my body is aware of you. Ma's skin rippled with waves of light. Humans are extraordinary, she breathed against his lips. Your capacity for connection, for passion, it's unlike anything in the galaxy. Their coming together was inevitable, a fusion of species and souls that transcended physical boundaries. Maya's bioluminescence filled the room with dancing lights as they explored this new dimension of their connection, their bodies moving perfect harmony. Later, as they lay twined, Maya traced patterns of light across Lex's chest. The Guild tried to create the perfect hybrid, she mused. They never realized that nature had already provided the solution. Human adaptability, human passion, human love. The data crystal's contents cast a harsh blue glow across Ga's face as she worked to decrypt its secrets. Lex and Maa sat nearby, their bodies naturally gravitating toward each other after their intimate connection. Maya's luminescence seemed to pulse in harmony with Lex's heartbeat by the stars. Gaa breathed, her green skin paling. You need to see this. The holographic display expanded, revealing layers of conspiracy deeper than they'd imagined. The Guild hadn't just been experimenting with hybrid creation, they'd been working towards something far more ambitious. Project Ascension. Maya read, her nebula eyes widening. They weren't trying to create hybrids, they were trying to evolve humanity itself. Lex leaned forward, his muscled frame tense. What do you mean? The Guild believed human adaptability was the key to advancing all species. G explained they wanted to create a process that would allow any species to incorporate human genetic traits. Maya wasn't just an experiment. She was a prototype. Maya's hand found Lex's, their fingers intertwining theirs. More, she said softly, they found a way to stabilize the hybrid process completely. But it requires sacrifice. The data showed that stable hybridization required a willing human donor, someone whose genetic structure would permanently bond with the hybrids. Creating a perfect fusion, the process would be irreversible for both parties. That's why they killed Mom, Lex realized. She discovered they were planning to harvest humans for mass hybridization. Before they could process this revelation, the hideout security systems blared to life. Multiple Guild strike teams had breached the outer perimeter. They must have tracked us from the archive, Gaa said, quickly gathering their equipment. Lex pulled Maya close, his beard brushing against her luminescent skin. We need to get you out of here. No. Maya's voice was firm. We faced this together. Your mother died, protecting me, protecting what I represent. I won't run anymore. The first explosion rocked the hideout's foundations. Lex and Maya moved in perfect SNC, their recent intimate connection translating into fluid combat coordination. Gua provided seeing fire as they made their way to the emergency exit. Guild forces had them surrounded, led by a towering figure Lex recognized from security briefings, Commander Rex, the Guild's chief of special operations. The prototype has been located. Rax's metallic voice echoed, surrender her, and the rest of you may live. Maya stepped forward, her body emanating waves of light that made the Guild forces step back. I am not your prototype, I am the future you feared. Proof that evolution comes from choice, not force. Lex moved to her side, his presence steady and unwavering. You want to see human adaptability? Watch this. What followed was chaos. Lex's combat expertise merged with Maya's hybrid abilities and a dance of destruction. gave us tactical genius, guided them through the guild's formations. They fought not just with strength, but with the power of their connection, human and hybrid brother and sister, lovers and family, in the midst of battle. Maya's body began to destabilize a fail-safe the guild had built into their experiments. The choice became clear: use the stabilization process or watch her fade away. Do it, Lex said without hesitation, pulling her into a private alcove. While Ga provided cover, it will change you forever, Maya warned her. Light flickering will be permanently bonded. Lex cued her face in his hands. I've been yours since the moment we met. The bonding process was intense, a fusion of souls as much as bodies. Their earlier physical intimacy had prepared them for this deeper connection, but nothing could have fully readied them for the sensation of two beings becoming permanently intertwined. As the process completed, Maya's light stabilized now, carrying hints of Lex's human essence. His eyes had gained a subtle glow, his cellular structure forever altered to match hers. They emerged from the alve as something new, neither fully human nor hybrid, but a perfect balance of both. The guild forces faltered at the sight of them. Impossible, Rex breathed. No, Ga corrected, pride in her voice. Human, the battle's tide turned. The guild's weapons
Proved useless against Lex and Ma's combined abilities. Their connection had created something the guild had never anticipated: a naturally evolved hybrid state, achieved through love rather than force. The aftermath of the guild confrontation left New Solaris buzzing with speculation. News of Lex and Maya's transformation spread through underground channels, becoming a symbol of hope for those who dreamed of genuine human-alien integration in their private sanctuary within the lower gardens. Lex explored his new abilities. His skin now held a subtle luminescence that responded to his emotions, while Maya's natural glow had taken on deeper, more earned tones. Their bond had created something entirely new, a perfect synthesis of human passion and alien grace. You're getting better at control, Maya observed, watching as Lex manipulated the light patterns across his skin. Her presence sent waves of warmth through their shared connection. Having a talented teacher helps, he replied with a roguish grin that made his beard catch the ambient light. Their bond allowed him to feel her immediate response, a flutter of desire that made both their bioluminescence pulse and sync. GAA entered the room, interrupting their moment with characteristic timing. The Galactic Council wants to meet with you both, she announced, her green skin flushed with excitement. Dr. NEX has been presenting our evidence about the guild's experiments, and your successful bonding has caused quite a stir there. Not going to try to study us, are they? Lex asked, protectively drawing Maya closer. Actually, G smiled, they want to discuss establishing a program for voluntary human-alien partnerships. Your bond has proven that natural evolution through willing connection is not only possible but preferable to forced experimentation. Maya's eyes sparkled like distant galaxies. Everything your mother fought for. It's finally happening. The council meeting was held in the grand chambers of New Solis's diplomatic sector. Representatives from dozens of species gathered to witness the unprecedented pair. Lex and Maya's entrance caused a collective gasp, their merged energy creating an aura that commanded attention. The council's chief administrator, a dignified figure with crystalline features, addressed them directly. Your unique bond represents a breakthrough in interspecies relations. The natural synthesis you've achieved surpasses anything our scientists thought possible because they were trying to force it, Lex replied, his voice carrying the weight of personal experience. Real evolution comes from choice, from connection, from. He glanced at Maya. There shared emotions, creating beautiful patterns of light between them. Love. The presentation of their evidence against the guild led to immediate action. The organization's leadership was arrested, their facilities shut down, but more importantly, the council established the Voluntary Evolution Initiative, a program allowing humans and aliens to explore natural bonding under safe, ethical conditions. Later that evening, in their private quarters, Lex and Maya celebrated their victory in their own intimate way. Their enhanced connection made every touch electric, every kiss an explosion of shared sensation. Their bioluminescence created a private light show that reflected their passion. You've changed everything, Maya whispered against his skin. Humans truly are remarkable. You face the unknown with such courage, such complete devotion. We Adapt, Lex replied, tracing the patterns of light that flowed between them. It's what we do best the next few weeks. Brought a flood of volunteers to the initiative couples who had been forced to hide their cross species. Relationships came forward eager to explore the possibility of the same deep connection that Lex and shared each. Successful bonding proved that humanity's greatest strength was its capacity for love and adaptation. Ga threw herself into coordinating the program, though she occasionally teased her brother about being a trend-setter. The siblings had grown closer through their shared mission, their family bonds strengthened by the triumph of their mother's vision. Dr. Nex's research revealed that each human-alien bonding created unique manifestations of their combined traits. Some pairs developed telepathic links, others shared physical abilities, but all reported the same deep sense of completion that Lex and Maya had discovered. Were creating a new future. May amused one evening as they watched the artificial sunset from their garden sanctuary, not just for us but for every species that wants to evolve through connection rather than force. Lex pulled her close, their energies merging. In a now familiar dance of light and sensation, Mom would be proud. Enos, he said softly. She saw the potential in all of us, human, alien, and everything in between. Their kiss ignited the air around them, their shared passion creating new patterns of light that reflected their deepening bond each day. Brought new discoveries about their connection, new ways to express their love through their unique fusion of species. The first attack came during a public presentation of the Voluntary Evolution Initiative, a group calling themselves the Species Purity Front disrupted the ceremony with sonic weep weapons designed to target hybrid nervous systems. Lex felt Maya's pain through their bond before the weapons even activated their connection, giving them precious seconds to react. Everyone down, Lex shouted, his enhanced reflexes allowing him to shield several participants. As chaos erupted, his skin pulsed with defensive patterns of light. A new ability born from their fusion, Maya moved like liquid starlight, her powers complementing his imperfect harmony. Together, they created a protective barrier of biolumin energy that deflected the worst of the sonic assault. Their intimate bond, strengthened through countless passionate nights, now served as a tactical advantage. This abomination must end the attackers' war. Masks depicting stylized, pure versions of their respective species, their leader a towering figure in a pristine white mask pointed accusingly at Lex and Maya. Humanity's corruption of our genetic heritage cannot be allowed to continue. GAA, who had been coordinating security, efficiently evacuated the civilians while Lex and Maya engaged the threats. Through their shared consciousness, they moved as one being, each anticipating the other's actions with preternatural accuracy. You know what I love about humans, Maya called out to their attackers, her voice carrying a dangerous edge. As she and Lex worked in tandem, they embrace change, they seek connection, they love without boundaries, they corrupt everything they touched. While the mass leader snarled, Lex laughed, the sound rich and confident. No, we perfect it. We complete it. His fingers intertwined with Maya, their combined energy creating patterns of light that dazzled and disoriented their opponents. The fight was brief, but intense. The Purity Front hadn't expected the level of synchronization between Lex and Maya. Their attacks, designed to target hybrid weaknesses, proved useless against the couple's evolved bond. In the aftermath, as security forces rounded up the attackers, Dr. Nex arrived with disturbing news. They're not working alone, Sharina, she reported grimly. We've detected similar cells forming across multiple systems. They're targeting all human-alien couples, not just successful bonds. Later that night in their private quarters, Lex and Maya found comfort in